What better place to find ourselves for a critical Game 5 than MP Crossroads, the classic flat map of Total War Warhammer multiplayer? Here we've got Tudella's Skaven versus its current year's High Elves. Let's get to the builds. For its current year, he's gone with a very wide sort of skirmish-oriented build. He's got an Archmage of Death up in the sky, who's essentially a ranged unit with Spear Leech and Fata Buna, untouchable by the Skaven in melee. We've got Rangers in the front line here, second line of Archers with some Lothern Sea Guard as well, Lyrian Reavers and Reaver Archers out on the flanks, plus a Flamespire Phoenix way out in the distance there. Again, more Reaver Archers here. For the Skaven, Ikit Claw leading the way on his Doom Wheel, as you saw in the opening there. Of course, we've got some Globadiers, a single Plague Claw Catapult, the Council Guard, some Clan Rat Spears. Let's see, Clan Rats in here, Skaven Slave Spears as well. Got some Rat Ogres out on the flanks with some Wolf Rats protecting the back. Already going to run off on a secret mission there with some Eshin's Triads defending on the far side. Rat Ogres and Wolf Rats going to be pulled somewhat out of position. Now, granted, with the Rat Ogres here, this is definitely going to go against the Reavers. Without them, they could probably beat the Wolf Rats in combat, but more melee Reavers are looming here in the distance, and with supporting fire from these Lothern Sea Guard, perhaps, should be an interesting engagement, but the mainline engagement's also about to get underway here. Flensing Ruin being used pretty early to go after just some Illyrian Reaver Archers there. I don't know, maybe the Flamespire was initially in the blob when he casted it there. But of course, as these Rangers wash up on the Skaven Slaves, they're going to take massive damage from volleys of Poison Globes, and Ikit can kind of come in here, give a little counter rear charge, and terrify them away. I would imagine in fairly short order, but let's see. High Elf Archers do manage to come in here and counter shoot the Catapult. This is one great benefit to having very long range of High Elf bows at 180. They can come in here and shoot down the artillery crew of the Skaven at relatively low risk for themselves, while the Rangers play forward and fight in melee. Over here, this Reaver engagement ended up going poorly for the one melee Reaver sent in to fight. They did manage to fight off some Wolf Rats temporarily, but yeah, Reaver's definitely taking the bad end of that engagement. On the opposite side here, the Flyers for the High Elves are kind of looming, trying to decide when and where to charge in. It's going to be a little bit of a kite game, which is why it was important for its current year to come forward and shoot this catapult and try and rout it off immediately so that he could then kite out the rest of these Skaven forces. And he's starting to draw Tudela a little bit out of position here. Yeah, we get the Ix's Triads. Technically going to get a rear attack penalty there and start to hopefully break those Sea Guards, but even still, they'll fight back just fine against the Rat Ogres. A nice open field charge here with these Reavers catching these Rat Ogres. And that should be more than enough to finish them off. High charge on those Reavers, relatively speaking. Probably break the leadership there. As center of the High Elf Archers is holding for the time being, with the Skaven definitely need to push their numbers up, especially like these Globadiers. Start dishing out some serious damage. Ikit Claw mostly has pushed back all of the Rangers, but this Phoenix is still in the back line causing some problems here, not letting those Poison Wind Globadiers advance, at least this one unit. And the Catapult crew, not really sure. Yeah, it looks like they did come back from route wherever they are. Should be getting back over here in relatively short order. Ikit Claw, though, has no defense against, just Spirit Leech spam. No spell resistance or anything on him, no healing of any kind, so over time that is going to put a stop to him, but it will take quite a bit of time, so it's up to the Skaven to win before that happens, as the loss of leadership could potentially be catastrophic. Speaking of loss of leadership, Wolf Rats and Rat Ogres don't have the greatest leadership to begin with. After that cavalry engagement there, they eventually do get routed off, these Reaver Archers getting the last laugh. And the Reaver Archers have been super clutch here. They've used up most of their ammunition already and just been firing at good targets for the most part. Yeah, not the craziest amount of value on them. Their bows are not the highest damage in the world, but they're obviously decent hybrid cavalry and can countercharge a lot of these Skaven units that get far out of position. Yeah, speaking of out of position, this Reaver's way out in the distance there. Not necessarily totally out of position, but we've also got some Rangers coming through, potentially looking to clean up some of these Skaven ranged units. I swear that it's just a bug with the catapult crew. They must have routed off the side, right? Right? Anyway. Or they're standing here? No, okay. So the crew's actually standing here, like in the line of Skaven. Anyway, looks like the bows are going to focus their arrows in on Ikit Claw, but unfortunately the Poison Wind Globes are absolutely disgusting, getting him some insane value coming in here and counter-shooting the High Elves ranged units, which is going to be a huge problem as the game drags on. The Flame Spire still got plenty of HP, though. And of course, like I said, Ikit on a timer from that Spirit Leech, but oh man, look at those volleys from the Poison Wind Globes, just absolutely ruining those Reaver Archers and almost leading them to rout instantly. Yeah, the Flame Spire definitely can be used in a mobile fashion here to try and get an attack in on those Poison Wind Globes. As soon as the Rat Ogre's turn to respond, then you focus fire with them, with the bows on them, try and rout them off. The Archmage also could herself start to cycle charge in here and utilize that eagle to good effect. As soon as the Plague Claw crew actually gets back online, they're almost immediately charged by the Reavers. See the Spirit Leech there in the distance, that evil purple hand floating above Ikit's Doom Wheel. Gonna take him down over time. Nice Flensing Ruin is the only response. Ultimately, it really should be used on this cavalry blob, because the only way to defeat the Archmage, realistically, for Ikit, I mean, other than having Howling Warp Gale, which I don't think he even has, he does have Howling Warp Gale. He could try and, like, drive the chariot around. It's not like you can necessarily target the chariot's shooting attack, but it does do enough damage that he could deal a decent amount to the Archmage. But regardless, that would have probably been more useful with that Flensing Ruin, just to finish off these Reaver Archers and try and just completely nuke what's left of those units. Because as it is right now, they're going to be able to run around and chase routing Skaven units, you know, get side and rear charges on these various important pieces that are left for the Skaven. But let's see. Ixchia's Triads still relatively healthy. They've got decent stats. Anti-large can stand against the cavalry of the High Elves, no problem. Light cavalry especially. But that Spirit Leech just continuing to wear down Ikit over time. He's got about 2,000 HP left, a little over. And not looking good for him in the long term. That said, High Elves have a lot of Skaven to try and clean through. Ikit's Chariot's also almost out of ammunition. Potentially a problem here, but let's see how he gets on. Staying true to his rats, staying close in on these spears and other support units is definitely the right call. Doesn't want to get isolated by these single entities for the High Elves, but might not have too much of a choice. Probably, yeah, the Ixchia's Triads are the best unit to try and hang out on, but we don't get to see the Winds of Magic situation for either player. If we could, I'm not sure. He has enough for one Fate of Buna. That's more than enough to just kill these Ixchia's Triads outright with a little bit of support. Rat Ogre's here getting caught out away from support. They will likely be routed off, and its current year has done a good job of keeping the Reavers alive for the most part. I mean, we've seen a few very short slip-ups against Globadiers, results in heavy damage, but I mean, they're for the most part still on the field operational, fighting and contributing. Ikit now getting very low. One more Spirit Leech should finish him off, and with that, Skaven's leadership is likely to cascade away. Flamespire Phoenix critically still alive, can provide terror on any of these units. So, yeah, I mean, the Ixchia's Triads, despite how healthy they are and the fact they could probably beat this wounded Flamespire given enough time. Of course, with terror, with like multiple Reaver units collapsing from multiple sides, the Eagle and Flamespire all at the same time, if it gets gone, it's certainly more than enough to terrify them away. Let's see here. Don't think there's enough Winds of Magic left. Yes, and the Flaming Phoenix Feces. Almost forgot about that. Been very patiently saved by its current year, and now will be dropped on the heads of these Ixchia's Triads. As much as possible. The Council Guard as well, the few of them that remain. But no, actually, just going to go straight in for the melee kill, try and rout Ikit off. That Flensing Ruin does do a decent amount of damage to both Flamespire and the Illyr and Reaver Archers. Oh man, it's so close right now. Let's see if the Flame Spire gets a healing proc from this, perhaps? Yes, it does. Very good luck for the High Elves, as the Flame Spire Phoenix regains a significant amount of HP. Should be more than enough left to deal with what Skaven have. And let's see, Flame Spire, 120 kills, only 650 value. Absolutely hilarious. There it is, a little charge from the Reaver Archers. They're immediately going to have to pull away or face this routing. 2v1 here, these two bird units for the High Elves. Here comes the Eagle Lord. Flame Spire staying in the sky right now, probably wanting to drop its hot flaming loads all over its poor Ratmen's heads. We're going for another charge. Really wish I could see. If I actually click here, can I mouse over in all of this chaos and see how many charges of this he has left? Use is 0. Okay, so he has used all of them at this point. But you can see the Skaven just largely running for the hills. Pretty much everything besides the 2 Regiment of Renown infantry here. And even Ikit himself is considering fleeing, and he does rout. With that, I think it's going to be its current year's series. Let's fast forward just to confirm that. But Ikit likely facing his demise. Yeah, he shatters there. Flame Spire can now come in. Nice little rear charge from those Reavers. Get the route there. And yeah. Ikit, yeah, shattered. Off the map. Should be Lord Fled penalty. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe the Ixchis Triads will hold out and surprise me here. I've certainly been surprised in this type of situation before. All the High Elves are low, but no. Terror kicks in. Everything shatters except the Council Guard. And there it is. Victory for the High Elves, and its current year narrowly takes a win on this series. Super close Game 5 on just a close overall series is awesome to see. And in terms of the value here, I mean, the Archmage of Death, so powerful. The fact that High Elves have access to all these different lores of magic gives them so much flexibility in what they can do, and the Archmage being relatively cheap means you can go very wide and still have some terror. I mean, High Elves don't have the cheapest terror in the world. Flame Spire can get counteracted sometimes, but here really didn't have to face off against anything really big and scary. There's no Gorich, you know, not really even a Packmaster to heal Rat Ogres and whatnot, so more or less had free reign, other than Ikit, which itself was definitely a terror. Got quite a bit of value. The 2 Regiment of Renown infantry, though, unfortunately do not. And I certainly like the value on Ikit as well. I just generally find Graciers to be more cost-effective overall, although Ikit is one of the coolest lords in the game, probably in my opinion. I mean, certainly the Globadiers get some insane value, as is expected, and the Wolf Rats actually do quite nicely. But yeah, character-wise, I probably would take Gorich here, and perhaps the Packmaster as well, but you guys already know my thoughts on that if you've watched my recent Skaven videos. Again, back to the High Elves side, Reaver Archers are super clutch. Some of them even pay for themselves straight up on damage, which is really nice, but I mean, just tactically having them in the late game to provide that rear charge penalty helped chase and route those Skaven units off alongside these terror pieces, or this one terror piece at least. Very important. I guess you could have taken the aspect of Dread Knight with Lore of Death, but instead just sticking to efficiently Spirit Leeching down Ikit Claw, which is the right call. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.